In the West Indies earlier this year, one tiny cricketing nation shocked the world. Having achieved the unthinkable with that win over Pakistan, Ireland went on to qualify for the Super 8s and became national heroes overnight.
We got off the plane, there was 300 or 400 people there at the airport, and family, friends, cricket supporters. There was media. The next day, our sponsors, Bank of Ireland, put a big reception on for us in one of the hotels in Dublin. 2 days later, we're on a program called The Late Late Show in Ireland, which is massive. If you've been on The Late Late Show, you could probably say you've made it.
I think it was fair to say that after the World Cup, it wasn't so much the world that had discovered Irish cricket, it was almost Ireland that had discovered Irish cricket. It was terrific. The media was talking about it, there was a buzz in the street.
It's strange for an Irish cricketer to be recognised now, and it seems to be when you go out for something to eat and so on, people are kind of, they're aware of who you are, which is totally unheard of in this country.
But all was not well. On their return, the players were not paid their share of the ICU's World Cup earnings. As a result, World Cup star Jeremy Bray left the squad. The players were not happy.
We came back from the World Cup, and I think what we found was that we had certainly spent an awful lot more than we'd budgeted for, primarily on the back of our success. We had an additional month out there, which would have meant that the additional people that we'd taken to the World Cup, we had to pay for them. Obviously, there were additional wages for the players as well. All
but 3 of us in that World Cup were amateurs, so you've got to look at the guys that have to replace their incomes. So the ICU had to find money for 12, 13 guys' incomes for an extra month, so that's an added expense that they sort of hadn't budgeted for. So, you've got to take that into perspective. But on the other hand, the guys, do put a lot of time and effort in and give their cricket a lot of commitment.
In addition, lower crowds than expected turned up to this season's high-profile matches against the counties, South Africa and India.
Coming back, we didn't really know what to expect. We heard of all the hype over here, and we thought maybe we'd get a few bigger crowds, but once again, the weather doesn't help. Nobody that hasn't watched cricket before is really going to want to sit in the cold and maybe the rain for 6 or 7 hours and watch a game.
It's been unfortunate we haven't been able to put our best team out due to the fact that you've got 3 guys that are with county teams, guys that have retired, guys that have got sort of other commitments, and back now working and family. It's very difficult to get the time off work. So it was difficult for us to put out a full strength team, and you had to sort of sit down and explain to people that didn't know about cricket, why we were losing to county teams where we could beat Pakistan and Bangladesh at a World Cup.
While Irish cricket needs to develop the quality and experience of its players, losing some of them to the English counties can also be a problem.
I've played for Ireland since I was 11, underage cricket all the way up. And I'll be forever indebted to Irish cricket for the progression that they've seen me go through and the coaching that they've put into me. That they also wish me well and want to see me progress to the highest level in which I can fulfil my talent. And the future in that is obviously across the water to try and play with England.
Those guys are over there chasing a dream to be professional cricketers for 10, 15 years. And you can only respect that, but unfortunately, Ireland does all the hard work, brings them through the development programs, the junior development programs, and we only lose them to the county teams. And then we ask the counties to release them every now and again, and they say no, or they put pressure on the guys to make a decision themselves, knowing that if they come over here and play for Ireland and their replacement does well, they may struggle to get back in the team. So they're in a sort of a catch-22 situation.
The 2007 summer will largely be remembered for rain. The important Intercontinental Cup fixture against Scotland, one of the many matches affected by the weather. Their old rivals face similar difficulties after making a mark at the 1999 World Cup.
I don't know if we capitalised on our appearance in that tournament as well as we might have done. I think they have to keep the profile of the sport high. I think, as I said, they're in a far better position now after the 2007 World Cup than perhaps Scotland were back in 1999, just with the fixtures that they have as a full one-day international country. The fixture they have should enable them to maintain a level of profile.
Things may have been far from easy for the national side, but the World Cup's had a big impact at grassroots level, especially with youngsters.
I've started playing maybe 14 years ago at under 13, and there really was. We're struggling to get a team every week. Like, we struggle now to tell kids that they're not playing, you know. We've got so many kids. There's a primary school league, so there might be 20 primary schools playing, where there was no primary school league maybe 4 years ago.
Our numbers here would have increased maybe from 200 up to 300, and that would be boys and girls. Particularly the under 11, under 13 group has been huge, but trying to cope with it is another problem.
We've definitely had an increase in numbers in our summer camps with our kids, especially young kids coming and joining. Well, in fact, even older kids. There's some kids who've never played before, 15-year-olds, who just watched the World Cup and all of a sudden they decided, yeah, I'll have a go at that.
Ireland's clubs have also noticed a positive impact, but they still face familiar problems.
I've driven through some of the rougher parts of Dublin 2 or 3 weeks after the World Cup, where you would only see soccer played, or football or Gaelic or hurling, and I saw cricket sets out, and generally we just wouldn't be an area. It'd be too much of if you were playing cricket, you'd be classed as a bit soft.
If you come down here on a Sunday morning now, you'd be amazed. There's 200 to 300 kids just down here playing cricket, and it's great to see, but unfortunately the drop-off numbers is huge. When it comes to 15, 16, you're down to maybe 30 or 40. So it's a case of trying to keep the guys between the ages of 13, 14, 15 playing cricket and kicking on then onto the men's teams and onto the senior teams.
We've got a number of guys coming in from Asia, from Australia. Even on our first team here, we've, I think, 3 Kiwis on the team. So I would think the problem we have to address is trying to get Irish players or Irish guys to take up the sport earlier and to fit in there.
For the moment, though, the World Cup success has helped create a new generation of Irish cricket fans. In years to come, these kids will hope to match the achievements of the class of 2007.